Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahavinam Karamavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so we have seen so far that this tree of samsara goes on until one finds the so-called invisible root which is above, and above doesn't mean physically above, which is the only reality there is. Everything else has a dependent reality, and that reality happens to be us, and until then this show will go on. Okay? Then we also saw the difference between sentient and insentient beings, but both of them have their being in Ishvara and also in Sat and Chit. And within the earth, all the different species who are born differently, it's all manifestation of the same reality. And then what we also saw is, and that which is, now it's all coming to a conclusion. So let's see how the Upanishad proceeds. Ultimately, what it is saying is, Yat eva iha tat amutra, Yat amutra tat iha mrityoha sa mrityum apnoti, Ya iha nana iva pashyati, Manasa eva aptavyam, Na iha nanasti kinchana, Mrityoho sa mrityum gacchati, Ya iha nana iva pashyati. Okay, who wants to read?
That which is here alone is there, that which is there alone is here. One who sees plurality or differences, as it were, goes from death to death.
Okay, good. So what it means is, what we are used to seeing with our senses are forms, and forms look very different. But what is said here is that which is here is there, and what is there is here. So not that the forms are the same, but what happens is, we see the forms and then there are differences. This is a planet, this is a star, sun, this is the earth, within earth it's me, then there are trees, there are animals, there are birds. All of these are all seeming different. But what is, when you little bit inquire into this, where this is, that's exactly where knowledge, Ishvara, making it what it is and making it interact with everything else through laws, right? And where knowledge and power is, that's exactly where Sat and Chit is. Now, the way can you see things, three things separately? This is form, this is knowledge and power, this is Sat and Chit. You can't. This is why if you are waiting for some special experience, it's never going to happen. Because within the creation, what is given to you is all the forms and the senses which report the forms. These two neither can be separated nor they are available for objectification. But where the forms are, there are two essential truths which make that form what it is. This cannot be known by you. What is through perception and inference, what you can do is get to know these forms, know their relationships, get to know their relationship with other things. That's what you can do. You can move within forms. You can't know these two essential realities. Actually, this is the cause from which these realities manifest. There is no real addition. From one standpoint, every form is only this, and wherever this is, then its own reality is the very basis. So that means there is only one reality. There is no second thing. But in terms of forms, how many different forms are there? Infinite forms. And whoever has to figure it out, and when there is no creation, can you figure it out? No. You need a manifestation. Within a manifestation, you need a given type of body, which is not just any body, a human or equivalent body. So you need that. So that means you can only figure out, look at this, the trick of Ishvara, when there are forms. And what you do need to figure out is, without displacing these forms or moving about the forms, you have to figure out two essential realities which right now make this form what it is. And what it means is, if you look into this form, which is nothing but these two essential realities, you look at the form which is far away, 8 light years ahead. That form. 8 minutes. 8 minutes.
For the sun.
Yeah, for the sun. Exactly.
So it means the distance is 8 minutes the time it takes
For light
to travel.
300,000 kilometers per second. That is the distance.
Can you imagine? The meter calculation is inadequate when you want to, but they are all existing in space. Right? So what it means is, if you inquire into that, so here there is a huge distance, but what makes the sun what it is, it also is a manifestation of knowledge and power. And that itself has its being in Sat and Chit. So here, in terms of form, there are distances, and then there are characteristics, and then there are laws which govern. But if you look a little bit beneath, all you find is one. So with reference to this and this, there is no distance. With reference to this and this, there is no distance. What does it mean? Knowledge and power is all-pervasive. It accommodates everything within which all the forms exist, sentient and insentient, over a period of time, past, present, and future, over cycles of creation, manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. This remains as it is. This doesn't change. Knowledge and power and Sat and Chit. All the changes take place here. So what this verse is saying, that which is here is that which is there. And that which is there is here. The one who sees many, they don't see these two essential realities. As long as you don't see these, see means don't understand these essential realities, which are actually the realities. What happens is, you move within the world of forms. And you move from one place to the other endlessly. Yaha iha nana eva pashyati. The one who sees many, mrityu or mrityu apnati. Goes from, Lord Yama is saying, they get little platform to engage with the world. After that, where do they come back? They come back to me, the Lord of Death. Then they get yet another chance, and they go to another realm. And when that karma comes, where do they come back? To Mrityu or Mrityu Apnati. So why is the word it's not mentioned as the person goes from one birth to the other. It is expressed as the person goes from death to death. Why? Instead of saying from birth to birth, it is expressed as death to death.
Your mind is talking.
You're not your mind talking. Right? Lord Yama is talking, Lord of Death is talking. Yeah, they get little entertainment in different lokas. Go there, have some fun. Okay, little different situation. Here you had issues with your boss, here you'll have issues with your son. Then here you'll have little issues with your husband. Then you'll also have some goodies. It's not like you'll only have issues. You'll have great time also. Here you are going for ski to Switzerland. Here you are going to Maldives for a swim. All different, rearrange a little bit. So Swamiji used to say that whichever corner of the world you go to, you will see mountain, river, forest, and ocean in different permutations and combinations. But you say, I went to Argentina, I went to Austria, I went to Croatia. What did you see? Same, mountain, river, ocean, trees. Different, slightly different permutation and combination. But it keeps you entertained forever. So what does it mean? Life after life. Keeps you entertained. Few challenges, few goodies. Have fun. As long as your perception is restricted to what senses report. Because you can't see something more fundamental. Right? So this is what is said. That you go from death to death if you see Nama. If your focus is on forms which are varied, you haven't understood the whole picture. Then. So, now, the question now is, this reality, which is Sat and Chit, where is it available? For you to comprehend, it's only because mind is the only place where knowledge takes place. And mind, any knowledge, whether it is knowledge of a tree, or knowledge of physics, or knowledge of mathematics, or knowledge of music, whatever knowledge it is, all knowledge of Atma, it all takes place in the mind. That's why mind is an instrument, and that's why you need to prepare it, right? So if you want to know physics, you have to have some mathematics, you have some logical abilities, you have to prepare your mind to understand advanced physics. If you want to understand the nature of Atma, you need different type of preparation. What certain clarity, certain self-esteem, certain maturity. That is preparation. So for depending upon what you want to know, you need to have a corresponding preparedness. But there is a method with which the knowledge takes place. So, Julie, 2 days ago in dining hall, she was asking me about Akhandakara Vritti. So I'm going to cover it now. I said it's not something that I can explain to you over dinner, but I will explain. And so I remembered that. And I will explain here. So I don't take anything lightly. Everything registers.
Only the dosa is missing.
But dosa is not at the right place, so it becomes distraction. According to you, when things are not in the right place, then they become waste. And I listen to you also. I listen to everyone, and that's where I get my material to talk. I listen to everyone very keenly. Nothing just goes. I don't just converse with my mind all over the place. always. I pay attention and I remember. And it is effortless because I pay attention. Nothing is just casual. Everything is deliberate. Okay, so let's understand how does mind understand anything. So this is something we say there is what we call the only way that the mind can understand is through vritti jnana. This is the only method. This is Ishvara's arrangement. What it means is, suppose you want to understand a tree, right? What happens? Your eyes see the tree, but the physical tree doesn't enter your head. So what happens? So exactly. So what happens is that eyes report the tree, see the tree, and report it to the mind. And what does the mind do? Create a cognition. And what is a cognition? The mind creates tree thought. And the physical tree doesn't enter. What you recognize is a tree thought. And then you say, this is a tree. So your mind understood that thing by creating corresponding thought in your head. That is the only way the mind can understand, by creating the corresponding cognitions through your thoughts. So this is why, look at this, when you study in college, the teacher is teaching you chemistry, whatever subject, right? And how the teacher is using the words and using the whiteboard to show you relationships. Depending upon what the teacher is saying, you have created corresponding cognitions. You have created thoughts related to it. And what you understand is your thoughts. So at the time of the exam, what will the teacher do? Check. What are the kind of thoughts have you created? Right? They will put things slightly twisted and they will ask you a question. If the thoughts that you have created are accurate, what will happen? When it's created little with a twist, your mind is able to figure it out. And you give all the answers right. And you get A+. But suppose your mind created images and they were not totally accurate. So when you were asked in a slightly tricky way, your mind went up to a point, then got lost. And then you got, yes, you were not totally wrong, but you were also not totally right, because the cognitions that you created, the thoughts that you created were not exactly in keeping with what the teacher was trying to communicate. So you got B. Then you were so distracted. Your thoughts were just little here and there. You hardly captured anything. Everything is floating up here and there. And when a little tricky question is asked, you are lost. So you get very little, and most of it is all entangled, nothing, confused. You got the C, and you didn't understand anything at all. Fail. This is not just Vedanta. Please understand, this is everything. Whoever is teaching you whatever, there can be Nobel laureate standing in front of you and telling about something for which he got Nobel Prize. But if your mind is not prepared, is not able to create the cognitions, what will happen? You will say it went all above my head. Because your mind was not able to capture those ideas and create corresponding cognitions. So that happened to me. I was studying in college in New York, and there was this professor, absolutely brilliant professor. His name was, I still remember his name, Professor Daniel Roderick. He was absolutely brilliant economist, and I used to love going to his classes. And he was teaching policy and things that he made us see was just so amazing. So one day I asked him, I said, "Can I come to your PhD level class?" I was studying masters. And he said yes, because he saw that I was bright and I was able to understand things and all. I went and I sat in his PhD class and everything was all mathematics and I was totally lost. I had no idea what he was talking about. What does it mean? My mind was prepared till master's level. But when it came to PhD level, it couldn't access. He was the same. He was teaching with equal clarity. But my mind was unable to reach what he was saying. It was not able to create corresponding cognitions. The thoughts, it was all about. So that means this, right? Anything, whether it is something which is abstract, like physics, or it is something tangible, like a simple object, whatever you need to understand, not only you need the mind, but mind has to create corresponding cognitions. You understand it. And in this, either there can be partial knowledge. It's not like whether it understands or it doesn't understand. It can move from the range of total non-understanding to partial understanding to erroneous understanding or to full understanding. What decides which of the four? The kind of cognitions your mind has created. If they are exact, it's full understanding. If they are partial but vague, it's vague understanding. If you have understood this for something else, erroneous understanding. And if you have learned painter, now when the class is going on, your mind is on, yeah, tomorrow I have to go to Pondicherry, and from Pondicherry, that croissant, I have to go to that cafe. So that I cannot miss. Right? And then, oh yeah, great. Oh, which hotel did she say that I have to visit in Margaret? If your mind is somewhere else, right, what will happen? No cognition only. It's what I'm saying and what your mind is thinking is something totally different. So this is how it is. Now, what is the characteristic of this cognition? A normal cognition. There are two characteristics. One is what we call vritti vyakti. And then there is alavyakti. Whenever it is something that you have to understand which belongs to the empirical world, and your cognition has two aspects. What are the two aspects? One is your mind creates what? A tree thought. Vritti vyakti. It takes the form of a tree, or it takes form, if it is an abstract learning, it takes the form of the logics that are put together, which are not tangible, but it still creates cognitions which are corresponding to what you want to understand. What does it mean if you want to understand quantum physics or you want to understand astronomy? The same cognitions are required? No. For astronomy related cognitions are required. For quantum physics related cognitions are required. It may not be tangible, but your mind has to reach through these formulas, through these theorems, what the teacher is talking about. And you have to follow, you can't move away. Because if you move away and you start building on something else, you will go somewhere else. So, there are two things. Vritti, that corresponding vritti has to take place. and that has a result. And what is the result? When you have created the accurate vritti, what has happened is that at least that up to that point, knowledge is clear. So that means, suppose the teacher was showing you 5-step logic. You followed till the 3rd step. What will happen? You created accurate vrittis till the 3rd step. But the 4th and 5th step, you went off somewhere. That means you can't say you didn't catch it at all, but you didn't catch it completely.
So Vritti, with Vritti Vyapti took place up to a point, didn't result in Phala Vyapti?
No, because what happened is vrittis that were created themselves were inaccurate.
But there was Vritti.
There was vritti, but it was not in keeping. So suppose it's a 5-step process, and you understood till 3rd step. What happened till the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd step? Your vrittis, everything takes place only through vritti. These vrittis were exactly in keeping with what was being said. But from the 4th step onwards, you created vrittis, but they were not accurate. They were not totally accurate. You did not capture the idea fully and totally. So you did create some image, but it was not exact. So what then happened is, since your vritti was not totally accurate, what happened to phala? Here till here, you removed. This step ignorance you remove. This step ignorance you remove. This step ignorance you remove. But here you got lost. What was the result? Because it was not an accurate vritti, the result was not exactly removal of ignorance. That's why you only got a B in the exam. Till here it could work out. After that, you got lost. Because your thoughts were not accurate. As the thoughts were not accurate, right, your knowledge was not complete. You didn't get the real result of removal of ignorance. Is this clear? Right?
Just to put it a little bit differently in terms of language, okay? We are speaking about what? We are speaking about the process, the mental process which are involved in acquiring knowledge, okay? Of a thing. It can be a perception or an idea or a sound or whatever, okay? Anything. We're speaking about the mental process. The mental process then has to culminate into what? Acquiring the knowledge. So this is the paladya. And the process itself where you are trying to capture, and even if it's complete or incomplete, this is the vyapti.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I don't know what you mean, but what I mean is, for 5 steps, each step, how do you understand the first step? By creating cognition. That is, and if that cognition is in keeping with what I say, only the first step, what will happen? Phala. And what is the phala? At least that step is clearly understood.
Has become knowledge.
Now it has become knowledge. Then I move, but every knowledge, as Surya says, is not one step.
Yeah.
You have to, anything analytical is more than one step. Then I went to the second step. Your vritti that you created was accurate. What happened? What was your phala?
Knowledge
Knowledge.
of that second.
Of that knowledge of that second step, not the whole knowledge. The third step, you created accurate vritti. Again, knowledge of that step. Fourth step, your vritti was not totally accurate. What was the result?
No. Absolute knowledge of that.
Either partial knowledge or erroneous knowledge or no knowledge. Do you understand? This is why even Vedanta, it's all, you can't say you totally understood, but you can't say you didn't understand at all. That's why you also say, oh wow, I understood earlier, but now there is another depth. What does it mean? Your mind reached up to a certain point, but it didn't see the reality all the way, completely and fully. You understand? This is why the second time. Then the third time, Mundaka Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, Adhyasa Bhashya. What are you doing? It has different methods of showing you. And every time, what are you doing? By listening to the same knowledge from so many different standpoints, so many different entries, so many different methodologies. What are you doing?
Going from step to step and hopefully you understanding from step to step.
The fourth step which you did not understand when you studied Kena Upanishad, something happened in Katha Upanishad. And till third step you kind of knew. Fourth step is now more clear. Why is it more clear? Because your thoughts are more in keeping with what is being communicated. And it is not deviating from what. There is no vagueness, there is no partiality, there is no error. Do you understand? This is how the knowledge deepens.
Sorry, but I have a confusion. So when we are saying it is knowledge, we can say it's knowledge because there is something that you can objectively say is knowledge of that.
Yeah.
But
So,
supposing that which you are trying to understand is not in itself objective.
Yeah, but right now what are we doing? What are we doing? We are saying, how does the mind know? And right now, what is the subject matter? Everything else that you understand, there is this process. What? There are two operations, Vritti Vyapti and Phala Vyapti. Everything else, we have not yet come to nature of Atma, because it's little different.
No, I'm not saying for Atma. I'm just saying even if it is, say, a person not speaking about physics or math, but is speaking about something that is not objectively being able to interpret, right? Supposing it's something that can be interpreted in 5 different ways.
Yeah.
Then
that's why we all work with partial knowledge.
now,
So what it means is, for example, when this 19-year-old girl was telling me the story about her life, it was not hallucination. It was knowledge. This is what she went through. But what was the problem? Partial. That means many things happened, but which cognitions she kept creating? The same. And also, as she repeated the same story and started ignoring all the other story, every subsequent thought got little bigger than what its place in the grand scheme of things got bigger and bigger and bigger. Do you understand? This is what we call, it gives you semblance of knowing because you went through that. But what you don't recognize is that the cognitions that you have created regarding that event are not totally accurate. You've blown it up out of proportion. You have ignored some aspect. So you are stuck with your mental impressions that you have created, which may not be exactly corresponding to the reality. So it is fraught with many things. Initially it starts with being partial, because she's only focusing on that. But then she's little bit building on that. Then it becomes erroneous. and you don't recognize it.
We can still call that knowledge, even if it's erroneous.
So, this is why we can't say it is totally, see, anything that is happening to you is known to you. And how is it known to you? Through creating vrittis. So, those vrittis, and you can't say either it is completely no knowledge or it is all knowledge. Do you understand? There are all these vrittis which are taking place. They are not totally wrong, but they are not totally right either. So this is why it is some knowledge, but fraught with error and partiality. That's why you can't call it complete knowledge. That's why when you are in the process of studying Vedanta, you understand up to third step. It gives you a semblance of knowing. But what you don't realize is you don't know it all the way. If you knew it all the way, then everything would be totally clear. That's why you can say, oh, this time I'm understanding little bit more deeply, little better. You can't say you didn't understand anything at all earlier. Nor you can say you understood everything. This is what we call process of growing clarity. What is this process of growing clarity? Your vrittis are becoming more and more in keeping with what is said. There is less and less partiality. There is less and less error. It is more and more precise.
Fully understand what you're saying in your mind, because it catches up exactly what you say without any imagination.
It's
uncredible when this happens.
so what it means is, so you have, this is why. Now, from the fourth time onwards, your vritti, vyapti, was not accurate. You made a mistake. What happens to your phalam?
It's not harsh.
Exactly. Either partial or erroneous or not there at all. Then I went on to, let's say, the fifth step. Here itself, there was a problem. More problem. Do you understand? So, at the end of the class, can you say you didn't understand anything? No. But can you say you understood everything? No.
But perhaps you can say, till that point I understood, and after that.
Yeah, this is how then you have discussions among yourself. Oh, what did she mean? And then you try to answer, then somebody else says something else, and it all goes on into discussions. Right? We are all collectively trying to figure out. This is tutorials in normal. The professor said something, everybody understood whatever, then you sit together, you try to figure out and complete your picture. This is normal. This is not Vedanta. This is how it is for everything. It's very obvious.
See, there is a whole field which is called cognitive science. Okay? They speak only about this. They don't use the same terms, etc. But they are trying to understand how we come to know things. So it can be sensory objects, okay, sounds, forms, an apple, a tree, a note, a color, a taste, a smell, or it can be an idea. Also, how do you come to understand a concept, right? So they are trying to analyze how the mind works, the process of the mind to come to acquire some knowledge and to be able to say, this is a tree. This is what is meant by this word. Or my experience now, I want to understand what is my experience about. Here also there is a process, like this young girl, right? And how she was understanding her own experience also can enter into that cognition. This is what Nima is saying, right? How do we get knowledge? This is it. Okay? The mental processes or action, activity involved in getting some knowledge. You understand this? Then you get it. Common to anything. Yeah.
So, basically, what it then means is there are two processes. One is vritti vyapti and the other is phala vyapti. So, what is does it mean? At that level, right? You create a vritti in your head. If it is accurate, then there is phala. What is the phala? Knowledge. So here, till third step, what was it? Knowledge. But the totality, which involved 5 steps, understanding. Do you understand? That's why it's partial. If you at this point say, I have the knowledge, because yes, you do understand the first 3 steps, but that's an error, because you don't understand the other 2 steps. It's all muddled up.
This we understood.
Okay, so 2 things, vritti vyapti and phala vyapti. Now, let's see, in terms of knowing Brahman, what kind of cognition is required?
So that cognitive science will not say anything. They have not asked themselves this question. Okay?
What kind of cognition is required? So every, in empirical world, there are 2 aspects, vritti vyapti and phala vyapti. Can knowledge of Brahman take place through exactly the same method as we understand empirical things? No. What is the difference?
One is self-revealing or evident, so you don't have to get a corresponding vritti to know that.
Super. Because in order to know the tree, you need what vritti? Tree vritti. In order to know quantum physics, you need which vritti? Quantum physics vritti. If you want to know astrology, astronomy, you need what vritti? Astronomy vritti. Here, what is the form that vritti will take? Brahman. Limitless, attributeless. If you try to capture it as one given thing, you have made it as an object. Do you understand this? This is all very, you have to understand clearly. It's not, oh yeah, this is vritti vyapti and this I sense and then it's all jumble. Nobody understands. People just repeat nonsense. What it means is, for Brahman, there cannot be vritti vyapti. If your mind creates a thought and it says, this is Brahman, it's not Brahman. Because you have objectified, you have created a corresponding form. It's not the reality. So that means this is a very special type of cognition where there is no vritti vyapti. Your mind, your thought cannot take a given form and say, this is Brahman, like you say, this is tree. But without this cognition, as a result of listening to Shastra and trying to put the picture at one point without creating Brahman vritti, what happens is the ignorance of Brahman goes away. That is phala vyapti. Without corresponding vritti. The result takes place. What is the result? Without objectifying Brahman as this, the ignorance of Brahman goes away, which makes you see Brahman as self-revealing truth, as I am, I am, I am. This is knowledge. Did you create a corresponding vritti? No. If you have made it limited. But it did something wondrous for you. From vagueness and partial knowledge, it made it It's not Brahman is. As clear as the daylight. There is no doubt, there is no vagueness, there is no partiality. It's not like somebody asks a question and now you are again in this entanglement, or you yourself are thinking about it and then you don't know how to. There is no such thing. It's not possible. Because it's not knowledge which is fraught with partiality, or error, or vagueness, or not putting everything in its right place. So, this is what we call Akhanda Parivritti. You understand why I cannot explain this over dinner time? It needs looking into. It needs explaining things clearly. It's not mugged up. This is what I sense and God knows what and this and that, and then there is Akhanda. It's not like that. You have to see what exactly, and this is leading person to recognize what is how Brahman cannot be understood like everything else.
But at the same time, it's a mental process.
At the same time,
Don't
it's a
forget
mental
that part
process.
also. Don't forget, this is how we started.
Yeah.
Because it's a vyakti.
It's a vyakti, it's a phala vyakti. It gives you the result, but without objectifying. So, this is called Akhanda Parivritti. But there is a vritti which came. What did it do the job? What job did it do? It totally and completely removed ignorance. So it is a vritti. But what is the akara? What is the form of that vritti? What does it mean? Not any given form. Like in the other case, there is a given corresponding form. Akhanda akara vritti. Once you understand this, it's clear. So what does it mean? Till you get this Akhanda Parivritti, what is your mind trying to do? You tell me. You are listening to the Shastra, and what are you doing? When I am explaining Ishvara, when I am explaining the nature of Jiva, when I am explaining karma, how it works, when I am explaining what is not I, what are you doing? You are creating vrittis. You cannot understand things without creating corresponding vrittis. Do you understand? It's not wasted. You are creating corresponding vrittis. You are removing your error. Oh, mind. Okay, mind is this functions, but none of these functions are I am. It's all understood through vrittis. Body, Ishvara, relationship between Ishvara and form. All of this, what are you doing?
You're looking for a concept to understand.
You are creating vrittis. Without vrittis, you can't understand.
Hopefully they come more in mind what was this. So
As the whole picture and all the other vrittis are more and more in mind. As I'm explaining Ishvara, the thoughts that you create about Ishvara are more and more accurate in keeping with what the reality of Ishvara is. As I talk about the universe, as I talk about all the prakriyas, your mind is able to follow it more and more accurately. That is all vritti, accurate vrittis. What are they doing? They are giving you the result. That particular knowledge that was vague now is clear. That particular knowledge is clear. But does it mean total Brahman is understood? No.
But it's coming close.
But it is coming closer and closer.
Small things are falling in.
Falling, exactly. All these things which are floating a little bit, they are all falling in its right place. That's how you are making the whole picture, right? The whole is what you have to put everything. The whole is explained, not in one verse, different verses. And through different prakriyas, you have to put things in its right place. And it's all done through creating images. Without images, you can't put things together. But what is that final vritti? Is not a given image. What does it do? As a result of the fact that you put everything in its place, it does its job. What is the job it does? It removes the ignorance without objectifying it. And then the knowledge is shining. Akhanda Akara. Right? This is what it means. Not from AI, not from artificial intelligence, from understanding. So here he says that that is called completing the process of understanding. Now, what is the catch here? If you start telling yourself that any vritti is not giving me the final knowledge, and you resist vrittis, what will happen? You won't be able to build anything. Till that final knowledge takes place, you have to create vrittis. But what kind of vrittis you have to create? Accurate. And in its right place, in the right. So you keep filling the understanding of realities, make it deeper, sharper, everything and its interconnection, its relationship, all that is done through akaras. They cannot be done without akaras.
And here you see, when you create a vritti, I got it, and you do it too early, what's happening, then you stop there and you build a new vritti to think, I got it.
Yeah, so it gives a semblance of knowing. Why does it give a semblance of knowing? Because 3 steps are understood. It's not that you didn't understand anything, but you were too quick to say, I understood everything. You understand? Because the other steps were not totally clear. But the other steps also required corresponding vritti, until only that final cognition, which doesn't have any akara. It is a vritti, but it is without any akara. Because now it is not revealing one given aspect, it is revealing the whole. I am Brahman. It cannot be captured in an akara. But that final culmination can only take place when you have had other akaras in its right place. Without those akaras, you can't have this cognition. So don't have a complex that if it is an akara, it is not final knowledge. Hey, you need interim knowledge to have that final knowledge. So you don't say if it is akara, it is not final knowledge. You have to say, let my akara of a given thing be as accurate as possible. Do you understand? Everything that is talked about has to be put in its right place. Precision. And how it is connected to everything else also has to be put in its right place. That is through creating corresponding vrittis. And it paves the way for final vritti, which is without any form. Because it is understanding Brahman not through a given aspect, the totality.
Does akara mean?
Akara is a form. Yeah.
And akhanda is?
Akhanda means there is no form. Form is
Undivided.
undivided.
Without parts.
Yeah. Because you have to understand. Huh?
So nice.
So nice.
And also the importance qualities of a good teacher is
Yeah.
clear.
Absolutely. The importance of good teacher who lead you. And suppose at the fourth step you are missing. What is the job of a teacher? Make sure that your vritti is now going off a little bit. Bring it back. Not like, oh, wait for this final vritti. And with the final vritti won't come unless you put fourth step in place. Knowledge. Until then, you can't say no knowledge either. Growing clarity. All the steps in everything is getting more and more defined, more and more accurate. This is how it is.
This is coming from
Growing clarity.
Right, that has happened because it comes from the order.
That's why it's also not an event that happens.
It's not an event, and that's why Swamiji was saying it is growing clarity. You understand the meaning of growing clarity? It is like a jigsaw puzzle. Can you put the last piece together which solves the puzzle without putting all the other pieces in its place? No. The last piece solves the puzzle. But for that last piece to be solved, you need every other piece in its place. Every other piece is akara. Only last piece is akhandakara. Akara is a form. This is akhandakara. This has no form. But that formless vritti comes, which totally removes ignorance, because you have created vrittis with given form in accurate way. You can't listen to me and not create corresponding forms. If you did not create any forms, you can't understand anything. Do you understand? You can't but create forms. But all you have to make sure is those forms are accurate, those vrittis are accurate. In one day, this is what we call. This is not something you decide. Today, that akhandakara vritti is going to come. You can't decide. If you have put everything in place and if you have prepared yourself enough, you should have this. What will happen to that vritti? It has come without any corresponding form. It has removed ignorance. Will the vritti stay? No vritti, no cognition can stay forever. Every vritti does its job and goes. If you hold on to the vritti, what vritti is empirical. It happens in mind. It's a cognition in mind. What has it done? It has removed ignorance. No vritti is permanent. Nothing, no vritti belongs to empirical world. It goes away. But it has done the job. What is the job? Given you the knowledge, full and total. Remove your ignorance once and for all. From there is no asking, I understand or not? Oh, I understand, but I have difficulty in retaining. All these problems. Don't take that irrelevant. Right? So, this is what is said. So, now I'm happy. I answered your question. So, good. Okay. Then, Manasa eva, I found. See, Ishvara only gave me the verse. Manasa eva aptavya. By mind alone is to be gained. And if you get this akhandakara, what happens? What do you understand? Na iha nana asti kinchana. As a result of that cognition, what do you understand? There is no second. There are no many. There is only one. if you don't get that cognition, mrityoho samrityum gacchati yaha iha nanaiva pashyati. If that cognition has not come, but journey is still on. Okay. Now, the next verse. Yeah, I still have time. No, yeah, I have 20 minutes.
Yes.
Wonderful. Wow. Now, this is little easier. So here an image is used. How one can appear as many. So, let's look at the next verse. Agnihi yatha ekaha bhuvanam pravishtaha rupam rupam pratirupaha bhuva ekastatha sarva bhutantaratma rupam rupam pratirupaha bhishya vayuhu yatha ekaha bhuvanam pravishtaha rupam rupam pratirupaha bhuva ekastatha sarva bhutantaratma rupam rupam pratirupaha bhishya. Okay, who wants to?
The one inner self of all beings assumes various forms in keeping with every form of being as one fire element, which is in the universe, assumes various forms in keeping with every form of object. It is outside also. The one inner self of all beings assumes various forms in keeping with every form of being as one air element, which is in the universe, assumes various forms in keeping with every form of object. It is outside also.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what it means is, here, look at this. This idea, what is the idea? One thing appearing as many. Two examples. What are the two examples? Fire and air, right? What is the example? Fire takes many different forms. What are the different forms of fire?
Sparks.
Yeah, exactly. Either you can have one fire, within that fire you can have so many different sparks which are emerging. Or you can have small fire and you can have big fire. Or you can have a totally different form of fire. What are the other different forms of fire?
Just the embers glowing.
Yeah, the embers glowing. What else?
Giving the sun.
The sun. The sun is a fire. It looks very different from the fire, but it is a fire. That I will come to. Excellent. Good. So that means even externally, there are on your gas when you cook, there is a fire. So what does it mean? It's not just within that fire, there are so many different sparks, but that form is just one of the forms. It takes so many different forms. The sun, your local cooking range, it all has different forms. But ultimately, they are all different forms. There is only one thing which is fire. Then, as Sita Devi said, the story doesn't end there. Not only the external fire has many different forms, we have internal fire. Like Lily said yesterday, your body is 5 elements. So where is fire appearing in your body? Digestive fire. The fire which keeps your temperature, thermostat, right, which keeps your temperature uniform. It adjusts according to different weather so that the body temperature remains within a certain range. So that means, and look at this. So that means there is my internal fire and your internal fire, are they identical? No. And her internal fire, is it identical? So fire has how many different forms, and the bird has also digestive system. And fish also has a digestive system. And an insect also has some little primitive digestive. One fire. How many forms? As though external and internal. And how many different forms? Uncountable different forms. But different forms don't create different substances. All that is here is one fire with so many different forms. They are unrecognizably different. Do you understand? Because internal fire is not like the external fire. And the external fire, also there are so many different forms. But the reality is one. Now, air. What about air?
It could be a breeze or hurricane or the space of the air within your breath.
Absolutely. The external air, you can say air pollution. Here is clear, clean air. Here it is polluted air. Here it is, I went to Ladakh and it is very high altitude. So somebody, and I had gone for Vedanta retreat. And somebody told me that a couple of days it takes for you to get used to the change in altitude. But I thought, I've been to Badri and Kedar and all, and it's no problem. So we flew from Delhi to Ladakh. And that evening, I had such an incredible headache because the change in altitude, all of a sudden from Delhi to such a height. So what it means is thin air. The oxygen in that air is not the same as oxygen in the plates. So what does it mean? Air has all so many, even though it's one air, so many different forms. Then when you talk about, when you breathe that air and it becomes prana, how many different pranas? The air, the way it functions in my body, it all depends upon what? How it lights up my senses, how is my prana, what is my digestion, what is my respiratory system, what is my circulation. So one of the measures of health is what? That throughout the body you have same temperature. What does it mean? Your circulation is good. If your feet are cold, what does it mean? There is an imbalance. She talked about it. You understand? So what does it mean? There is some problem with flow and circulation. It doesn't reach every part of the body in the same manner. All the air is not, and then the minute it comes out, it is filled with oxygen, filled with carbon dioxide, which are all your toxics. And for tree, that air with carbon dioxide is nourishing. So what does it do? It takes in that air and takes in carbon dioxide and releases oxygen. This one air, how many different forms it takes? Countless forms. But it is only one reality. What does it mean? One Sat and Chit. How many forms it takes? All identical forms? Not at all. All very different. Like planet looks different from star, star looks different from satellite, satellite looks different from individuals. Individuals look different whether you're bird or animal or human or even if you're deva, you look different altogether. Countless forms. Do countless different forms create many realities? Do you need to give up forms to arrive at one reality? All you need to do is understand the relationship between form and the content, the substance. Forms are modification, content is only one non-dual. And forms and content don't make two realities. Content is the truth, form is as though modification, taking a given form with a given characteristic that you can enjoy. You don't need to displace it. You can enjoy. When can you enjoy forms? When you have understood, I am formless whole. And all the forms are my glory from that standpoint. Then what about your relationship with this given form for which you are a managing trustee? For the first time in your life, you can really enjoy this form. Why? Because the limitation of the form don't become your limitation. With a limited form, you can express yourself in the world. And you can appreciate all the other forms as just glory of one reality. You're free. What there is an expression in Bhagavad Gita. What the person vihaya kama yat sarva pumamsh charati nispruha mama nirahankara sashanti navigachati. The person moves around freely. Nothing binds the person because the person has the vision of the truth. Pumamsh charati nispruha. What does it mean? You are in the midst of everything and you just move around everywhere without getting entangled anywhere. Because you now know the truth. So, this is what, one reality, many forms. Forms are going to be different. You don't need to displace the forms. Where the forms are, that's exactly where the reality is. Reality is not any form. It is free from the characteristics of form. Among all the forms, you have special relationship with one set of form, your given body and mind. But that doesn't make I am. Even when you understand the truth of all forms, till you shed the body, you still have connection with one given body and mind. But that is not a problem anymore. That is, for the first time, it becomes a privilege. Why does it become a privilege? Because now you can use this limited body and mind to accomplish so much, whatever, but out of total freedom. Not mistaking this body and mind as I am, and not suffering from the limitation of body and mind as my limitation. And understanding every form is not separate from Ishvara. You see Ishvara's glory everywhere. So, this is what is the two examples of Agni and Vayu. Okay, so now there is one more, but I think I can wait till tomorrow. I can wait till tomorrow. It's 5 minutes to 1. So I have two classes left, and I'm very comfortable with the verses that I have to do. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Swastiastu